Question number 1. We do have a line graph showing a percent of cars for sale. And the question asks, what model year is the percent of cars for sale the smallest? So the given line graph, the vertical axis represents the percent of cars for sale. The lowest point of this line graph is right here, which is 4%, and that point represents the model year of 2014. Therefore, the answer is right here, 2014. Question number 2. We have a machine producing beads, and every 100 beads that machine produces, 29 is defect. And a bead produced by the machine will be selected at random. So what is the probability of selecting a bead that has a defect? Okay, the machine produces K number of beads, and 29% of that K number of beads is defect. We have 29%, which is defect. We can write this as 0.29, which is 29%. And to get the number of defects, we're going to multiply 0.29 by the number of beads, which is K, and that is the defect number. So what is the probability of selecting a bead that has a defect? So to get that, we have the defect number, and we're going to divide the defect number by the total number, which is K. And K will cancel out, and we have 0.29, which is equal to 29 over 100. And the answer is right here. Question 3, we have a diagram, and line M and N are parallel, and line T is transversal, intersecting line M and N. And the question asks, what is the value of X? Okay, anytime you have a transversal intersecting two parallel lines, the corresponding angles are always the same. So the corresponding angles are this angle and this angle right here. Therefore, we have 33 degrees here. And at the same time, from here to here is 180 degrees. It's a half a circle. Therefore, X degree plus 33 degrees is equal 180 degrees. And taking over this to the other side, we're going to have X degree is equal 180 minus 33 degrees. And X degree is equal 147 degrees. And the answer is right here. A little bit of additional information. Anytime you have a transversal intersecting two parallel lines, you're going to have alternate angles, which are equal, corresponding angles, which are also equal, and allied angles, which add up to 180 degrees. And at the same time, you're going to have vertically opposite angles, which are going to be the same. Question number 4, we have a diagram showing a graph. And the question asks, what is the y-intercept of the graph? This is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. And the graph only touches the y-intercept at this location. And y is equal 8, and x is equal 0. X is 0, and y is 8. And the answer is right here. Question 5, the total cost to lease a car for 36 months is given by this equation. And the payment for each month is X. What is the total cost to lease a car when the payment for each month is 400? So X is the payment for each month, and that is equal 400. And they ask, what is the total cost to lease the car? And the total cost is given by this equation. So let's write down the equation. We do have f of x, and the value of x is 400 is equal 36 times the value of x, which is 400 plus 1000. And 36 times 400 is 14,400 plus 1000. And f of 400 is equal 15,400. And the answer is right here. Question number 6. Each side of a square has a length of 45. What's the perimeter of this square? We have a square here, and each side has a length of 45. So the question is asking the perimeter of the square. And the perimeter is equal to the sum of all sides. Therefore, P is equal to the sum of all 4 sides. And we're going to multiply 4 times 45. And P is equal 180. And that's the answer for question 6. Question number 7. What is the positive solution to the given equation? Let us try to simplify first. So we're going to multiply x plus 6 on both sides. So this and this cancel out, and we have 55 on the left-hand side. On the right side, we're going to distribute this here and here. So we're going to have x squared plus 6x. So we're going to subtract negative 25 on both sides. This and this cancel out. And we're going to have 0 on the left-hand side. On the right side, we're going to have x squared plus 6x minus 55. We need two numbers, which give you negative 55 when you multiply and positive 6 when you add or subtract. So we have 11 and negative 5. If you multiply, it gives you negative 55. If you add, it gives you positive 6. So we have x minus 5 and x plus 11, which is equal 0. And from here, we have x minus 5 equals 0 and x is equal 5. We have x is equal negative 11. And the question asks the positive solution. And the positive solution is this one. An object travels at a constant speed of 12 centimeters per second. At this speed, what is the time in seconds that it would take for the object to travel 108 centimeters? So given here is the speed, which is 12 centimeters per second, and distance is 108, and the question asks the time. So this kinematic equation relates these three of them. Speed is equal distance over time. And if we make the time the subject of the formula, t is equal distance over speed. T is equal, the distance is 108 over the speed, which is 12 centimeter per second. This unit and this unit will cancel out, and 108 divided by 12 is 9, and t is equal 9 seconds. And the answer is right here. Question number 9, we do have two data sets, data set X and data set Y. And the question here asks, which statement correctly compares the mean of data set X and the mean of data set Y? The mean formula is the sum of the values divided by the number of the values. So the mean of dataset X is going to be, let's add these numbers. Okay, and that is going to be 36. And how many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4. 36 over 4, which is 9. And the mean of dataset Y is, let's add these numbers, and that's equal 63. And how many values do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 values. Therefore, the mean is equal the sum of the values, which is 63 over the number of values, which is 5. And that's equal 12.6. So the mean of dataset X is less than the mean of dataset Y. Okay, and let us check the answers. This one here, the mean of dataset X is less than the mean of dataset Y. And that's the answer. Question number 10, we have a rocket. The initial mass of the propellant before the launch is this. And after 21 seconds, the mass of the propellant is this. And the question asks here, on average, approximately how much propellant in kilogram did the rocket burn each second after the launch? So we have the time, which is 21 seconds, and we're going to subtract the initial and the final mass. 47,000 minus 362,105 kilogram, kg and kg over 21 seconds. After doing the numbers, we're going to have 4,995 kilogram per second. So the rocket burns 4,995 kilogram per second, and the answer is right here. Okay, question 11. If 4x plus 2 is equal that, what is the value of this? We do have 16x plus 8. To get that, we're going to multiply 4 on both sides of this equation. 4 multiplied 4x plus 2 is equal times 4. Let's distribute this one here and to here. So we're going to get 16x plus 8. 4 times 12, 48. 8. So we got this term, which is equal 48. And the answer is right here. Question 12. An object is kicked from a platform. This equation represents this situation where h is the height of the object above the ground. Let's draw a quick diagram. We have an object on top of this platform, and when the object is kicked from the platform, it takes this trajectory, and the time of the flight is t in seconds. And the question here asks which number represents the height from which the object was kicked. Okay, the question asks this height above the ground from here to here. So before the object is kicked from the platform, the time of the flight equals 0. And to find the value of h, we're going to use the given equation, which is h is equal negative 4.9 times t squared, and the value of t is 0, plus 7 times t, and t is 0, plus 9. This term 0, and this term 0, and h is equal 9. And the answer is right here. Okay, we have this equation. The given equation defines the function of f. So this equation has this graph. If the coefficient of x squared is positive, the parabola opens up. Here's the vertex, and the question is asking for what value of x does f of x reach its minimum. So the minimum is this vertex here. So to find that value of x, we're going to use the vertex equation, which is x is equal negative b divided by 2a. And the coefficient of x squared is a here and c. And x is equal negative b, and the value of b is negative 50 over 2 times the value of a, which is 4. And x is equal, negative into negative is positive. So we have 50 over 2 times 4 is 8. And we can simplify. Divided by 2 is 25 over divided by 2 is 4. And that's the value of x for which the function f of x is minimum. Question 14, we have a word problem. A small business owner budgets $2,200 to purchase candles. So we have one inequality there. The small business owner wants to spend no more than $2,200 to buy these candles. The second condition here, the owner must purchase a minimum of 200 candles in order to maintain a discounted pricing. So to get a discount, the owner has to buy a minimum of 200 candles. The price of the small candles is $4.9, and for the large candles, $11.6. And the question is asking, what is the maximum number of large candles the owner can purchase to stay within the budget and maintain the discounted pricing? Let us see how we can set it up. Let's call X the small candles plus Y the large candles. Together, they must be minimum of 200, which is greater or equal to 200. Okay, the second equation, we have a cost. So the cost of small candles is $4.9 times the quantity of the small candles, which is X, plus the cost of the large candles, which is 11.6 times Y, which is the large candles. And that must be equal or less than $2,200. That's the budget of the small business owner. Okay, so we have two equations, and it's a system of equations, simultaneous equations. So the question is asking, what is the maximum number of the large candles? So we need to get the value of y. So to get that, we're going to take this y over to the other side. So the value of x is equal to 200 minus y. And we're going to substitute the value of x into here. So we have 4.9 times the value of x, which is 200 minus y, plus 11.6y is equal or less than 2,200. And we're going to distribute this into here and here. So 4.9 times 200 is 980 minus 4.9y plus 11.6y is equal or less than 2,200. We're going to subtract 980 on both sides, and we're going to add these two. This and this cancel out. 11.6 minus 4.9 is 6.7. Y is equal or less than 1220. And finally, y is equal 1220 divided by 6.7. 0.7, which is equal 182. So the maximum number of large candles the owner can purchase is 182. Question 15, we have 2 points. The first point is from here, we have 0 for x and 8 for y. And from here, we have 1 for x and 12 for y. So m is equal y2 minus y1, which is 12 minus 8 over 1 minus 0. And that's going to be 4. That's the slope. The formula of the slope, y is equal mx plus b, and y is equal, the slope is 4, so we have 4x plus b is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is where x is 0, and that's 8. So we have plus 8 here, and that is this equation. If we substitute 0 for x, we're going to have f of 0 is equal 4 times 0 is 0, and we have 8 here. And if we substitute 1 for x, then we have 4 times 1 plus 8, which is 12. And that satisfies this equation. So the answer is choice D. Okay, question 16, the function of f of w, 6w squared, gives the area of the rectangle. If the width, w feet square, and the length is 6 times the width, which of the following is the best interpretation of f of 14 is equal 1176? F of 14 gives us the hint that the width is equal 14 feet. And we know that the length is 6 times the width. So L is equal 6 times 14, which is 84 feet. And the area of the rectangle, length times the width. And the length is 84 and the width is 14. And that's equal 1176 feet square. So we have all the pieces. Let's go through the choices. Choice A, if the width of the rectangle is 14 feet, then the area of the rectangle is 1176 feet square. And that's the answer. We have a question number 17, and we have a circle. The center of the circle is right here, and the circumference of the circle is 144 pi. And we have two diameters. PR is a diameter, and QS is also a diameter. And the length of arc PS, which is from here to here, is twice the length of PQ, which is from here to here. So we're going to call this 2x, and here is x. And the question is asking, what is the length of arc QR, which is from here to here? The green section is half of the circle and it's also equal to the white section. We're going to call this side 2x because it's the same size of this section. And we're going to call this x because it's equal this side in size. So the circumference of the circle is 144. Therefore, since the green section is half of the circle, the green section is going to be 144 pi divided by 2. And it's equal to 72 pi. So we're going to use half of the circle. And we have 2x, which is this section, plus x, which is that section, is equal half of the circle, which is 72 pi. So 2x plus x is 3x is equal 72 pi. Divided by 3 and divided by 3, that's going to give us 24 pi. So x is equal 24 pi. And the question is asking QR, which is this section, and that section is 2x. So 2x is equal to times 24 pi, and 2x is equal 48 pi. And the answer is right here. This company takes a group of 21 people who are going to watch whales, and the company charges $80 per adult and $60 per child. And the total amount of money the company charges the 21 people is $1,440. And the question is asking, how many people in the group were children? We're going to set it up. Let us call the number of children x plus the number of adults y. And together they are 21 people. The company charges $60 per child and $80 per adult. And the total amount of money the company charged the group is $1,440. So we have a system of equations, and we're going to use substitution. So we're going to take the x over to the other side, and y is equal to 21 minus x. And that's the value of y. and we're going to substitute that value for y. So we have 60x plus 80 times value of y, which is 21 minus x, and that's equal the amount of money. And we have 60x plus, we're going to distribute this 80 to here and here. So we have 21 times 80, which is 1,680 minus 80x, and that's equal 1,440. We're going to add the like terms, this and this one, and we have negative 20, and we're going to subtract 1680 on both sides, and we have 1,440 minus 1680, negative 20x is equal negative 240. This negative and this negative cancel out. Divided by 20, divided by 20, and x is equal, and the answer is right here. Question 19, we have a function of h and the graph of y equal h of x. The x-intercept is a when y is 0, and the y-intercept is b when x is 0. And the question is asking what is the value of a plus b. We have this equation, and we can write in the form of a slope. Y is equal mx plus b. So the value of b is 28, and the slope is 4. So y is equal to 4x plus 28. So the value of b is 28. So we have b is equal to 28. Okay, what about the value of x? The x-intercept, which is a. The x-intercept is when y is 0. So we're going to set y equals 0. So we have 4 plus 28 equals 0. I'm going to take this one over to the other side. So we have 4x is equal negative 28, and x is equal negative 28 divided by 4, and x is equal negative 7. So the value of a is negative 7. And the question is asking the value of a plus b, and that's equal negative 7 plus 28. Therefore, a plus b is equal 21. And the answer is right here. Question 20, we do have an expression, and the question says one of the factors of this expression is x plus b, where b is a positive constant. What is the smallest possible value of b? The first step, we're going to write down the expression. We have 2x to the 3 plus 42x to the 2 plus 208x. So the first step, we're going to find the greatest common factor. So what is the greatest common factor we can take out? We can take out 2x. Inside the parentheses, we are left with x squared plus 21x plus 104. So we're going to need two numbers. When you multiply, give you 104. When you add, give you 21. Those two numbers are 13 and 8. When you multiply, it will give you 104. When you add, it will give you 21. We have 2x, x plus 8, and x plus 13. The question is asking, what is the smallest possible value of b? We have x plus 8, and we also have x plus 13. So they ask the smallest possible value of b. So b is equal 8 and 13. So 8 is smaller, so the answer is b is equal 8. We have a system of equations, simultaneous equations. So the first step, we're going to solve the system of equations. So the value of y is negative 1.5. So we're going to substitute that value into y. X squared plus 8x plus a plus 1.5, and that's equals 0. So we have that quadratic equation. In the given system of equations, a is positive constant. The system has exactly one distinct real solution. So what is the value of a? So this term here, exactly one distinct real solution right here, that's what's called a discriminant. What is the discriminant? The discriminant is this expression, b squared minus 4ac. And that expression tells us how many roots or how many real solutions this quadratic equation is going to have. If this expression is greater than 0, you're going to have two distinct real solutions. If this term is equal 0, you're going to have one real solution. If this expression is less than 0, you're going to have no solutions, just imaginary numbers. So in this case, the system has exactly one distinct field solution. So that means b squared minus 4ac is equal 0. So we're going to use this expression to find the value of a. So the coefficient of x squared is a, and b is 4, that coefficient, and c, that whole term is going to be c. So we're going to substitute that for this expression. So b squared is a squared minus 4. What is the value of a? It's 1, which is right here. And the value of c is this expression, which is a plus 1.5. And that's equal to 0. 8 squared is 64 minus 4a, when you distribute that one here and here, minus 6 is equal to 0. We're going to add this, and we have 58 minus 4a is equal to 0. We're going to subtract 58 on both sides. So we have negative 4a is equal minus 58. This negative and this negative cancel out. And we have a is equal 58 over 4. So divided by 2 is 29, divided by 2 is 2. So the value of a is equal 29 over 2. And that's the value of a. Question 22. We have been given the function f of x, and the question is asking which table of values represents y is equal f of x minus 3. So the first term, which is this one, the value of x is negative 6, and the value of y is negative 3. So we have negative 6 comma negative 3. And the second term, we have the value of x as negative 5, and the value of y is negative 3. So we have negative 3. And the last one, the value of x is 4 comma the value of y, which is negative 3. So let us see which table has these values. So A does not have that on the y side, and B, negative 6, negative 5, and 4, and on the other side, negative 3. So B sound is the correct answer. And C, let us see, on the y side, we have negative 3, negative 2, and 7. And last one, we have the y side, all positive 3. So the answer is B. Question 23, we have exponential decay. For the function of q, the value of q of x decreases by 45% for every increase in the value of x by 1. If q of 0 is equal to 14, which equation defines q? Since the function of q of x decreases exponentially, we're going to use this formula. Q of x is equal a 1 minus p to the whole power of x. That's the exponential decay formula. So a is equal to the original value when we have a q of 0, and that's 14. And p is the decay percentage. So p is equal 45%, which is 0.45. Therefore, q of x is equal a, which is 14, 1 minus 0.45 to the whole power of x. And q of x is equal 14 times 1 minus 0.45 is 0.55 to the power of x. Okay, let's go through the multiple choices, and we see that this is the correct answer. So we have been given that q of 0 is 14. Let's use that and see if we get 14 when we have q of 0. So q of 0 is equal 14 times 0.55 to the power of x, which is at this point 0. So any number to the power of 0 is 1. So we have q of 0 is equal 14 times 1, which is 14. And we have proven that q of 0 is 14. And the answer choice is C. Question 24, we have a graph question, and the graph crosses at this point and this point here. So we have 2 points. The first point, we have 0 for x and 2 for y. And the second point, we have 8 for x and 0 for y. Here's x1, y1, x2, y2. And the slope of the graph, m is equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So our y2 is 0, m is equal 0 minus y1, which is 2. x2 is 8 minus x1, which is 0. And that will give you negative 1/4. We have the formula for the slope, which is y is equal mx plus b. And b is the y-intercept, which is 2, and the slope is negative 1/4. So y is equal negative 1/4 x plus 2. And the 2 is from the y-intercept, which is right here. At the same time, they gave us the value of y right here. Y is equal to f of x plus 14. So we're going to substitute that value into right here. So we have f of x plus 14 is equal negative 1/4x plus 2. And we're going to take the 14 over to the other side of the equation. So we have f of x is equal negative 1/4x plus 2 minus 14. And finally, f of x is equal negative 1/4x minus 12. Let's check the multiple choices and see which one is correct. So choice A is what we have, and that's the correct answer. Question 25 is about triangles, and we have the sides of right triangle RST, which is similar to triangle UVW, where S corresponds to V and T corresponds to W. So what is the value of tan W? Okay, let's draw the two triangles first. The first triangle is RST, and the second triangle, S corresponds to V. So V is going to be the right angle, and T corresponds to W. So here we're going to have W. U is going to correspond to R. Let's label the sides. The longest side is the hypotenuse, which is going to be 52, and the smallest is going to be the base, which is opposite to the smallest angle. So we're going to have 20 here and 48 here. So this angle is equal to this angle, and this angle is equal to this angle. Okay, so the question is asking what is the value of tan W, which is this angle. So tan W is equal, according to this abbreviation, staccato, we have opposite over adjacent, and tan W is equal, since we have 52 here, the similar side is going to be proportional. So this side is going to be 52 times x, and this side is going to be 20x, and this side is going to be 48x. So what is the opposite? The opposite is going to be here. So we have 20x over 48x. And x will cancel, and 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 48 divided by 4 is 12. So we have 5/12, and that is right here. Question 26 is a word problem. 1 gallon of paint will cover 220 square feet of a surface. That means 1 gallon of paint can cover 220 feet square. A room has a total wall area of W square feet. We have been given the area. Which equation represents the total amount of paint, P, in gallons, needed to paint the walls of the room 2 times? So we have 2 times the area, which is feet square. So this question is about unit conversion. In the beginning, they gave us square feet, and they wanted the answer to be in gallons. So we have 2 times the area, which is feet square. And we know that 1 gallon of paint will cover 220 feet square. So we can cancel this and this feet. So we have 2 times the area, which is W, over 220 gallons, divided by 2, and divided by 2 is 110. And we are left with the area over 110 gallons. And looking at the answer choices, choice C is the answer. Question 27, the number A is 110% greater than number B. And number B is 90% less than 47. So what is the value of A? So let's start with the first one. A is equal B plus 110% is 1.1. So B plus 1.1B. So B is 90% less than 47. So 90% is 0.9 times 47. And B is equal 47 minus 0.9 times 47, that's 42.3. and B is equal 4.7. So A is equal B plus 1.1B, that's going to be 2.1B, and the value of B is 4.7. So A is equal 2.1 times 4.7, and A is equal 9.87. And that's the value of A. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe.